Alrighty, this is the formula sheet that you are given in the assessment. However, I've put these numbers on there just so that we can experience the formulas. So for this one here, we've got a formula for the perimeter, and that's saying the perimeter is like a little ant going around, A plus B plus A plus B, and that factorizes to 2 in brackets A plus B. So what we really want to see is A is the same length as 4. These two are the same length because it's a rectangle. So we know A equals 4. B and 3 are the same length, so we know B equals 3. We're substituting it for the perimeter into the formula, so we know we've got 2 times A plus B. So A is 4, B is 3, 4 plus 3 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14. So we know our perimeter is 14. With the area, we're doing A times B, so 3 times 4 is 12. Now, if it was units, if these were both centimetres, our perimeter would be in centimetres and our area would be in centimetres cubed. Okay, I'm just going to make that line a bit less thick to hopefully make my writing a bit clearer. Okay, so that is the rectangle. Now we're looking at the triangle. So with the triangle, the perimeter is like a little ant, A plus B plus C. So we know that A equals 6, B equals 9, and C equals 5. So A plus B plus C is 9 plus 6 plus 5, which adds up to 20. And it would be centimetres if you were given the units. It's a length, there's no squared or anything. The area is a half base times height. So it's a half times the B, which is 9, and times the height, which is 3. So 9 times 3. 3 nines are 27, and half of that is 13.5. Okay, so that would be our area. All right, now let's have a look at our parallelogram. So A equals 4, B equals 5, and our height equals 3. So we can see this is the height, this is vertical height. This here is our slant height. So our perimeter, we've got 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5, because that would also be 4 and that would also be 5. Or we use the formula. So we A plus B, 5 plus 4 is 9, 9 and 9 is 18. The area is base times height. It's the B times the height. So it's 3, base is 5, height is 3. So that's 15. So the next one, I just have to move this across a bit. Okay. So for this one here, we have a perimeter is A plus B plus C plus D. Well, you imagine yourself as a little ant going right around. You're going to have to add up this number, this number, this number, and this number. So 7 and 3 is 10, 6 and 6 is 12, so that's going to be 22. And the area, so we've got a half A plus B times the height. So I just want to show you how to use your calculator, just out of interest. So we need to, you've got a fancy one you're going into run. Now there's different ways of doing the half. Some people quite like to use the fraction button, so they might go 1/2, like so. I actually prefer to just divide the whole thing by 2. So I would go A is 3 and B is, that was a 7, timesing by the height, which was 5, and dividing the whole thing by 2. Oh, exit. What happened there? Oh, I use the keyboard thing instead of the times thing. Right, so we've got 25. So that's our area is 25. It would be units squared that you would actually have to put. So the next one, we move that back across this way, our circle. So we've got a radius of 4. So R equals 4. That's showing you're working. Writing out the formula would be your next bit of working. So circumference equals 2 times pi times 4. That's what you're going to put in your calculator. So we need to clear it, and we go 2 times pi times the radius, or pi times diameter. So 25.13, we're going to call that 25.1. It might tell you how many decimal places. The area is pi r squared, so our area equals pi times our radius squared. So our area equals, so we need to go clear, we need to go shift pi times the radius of 4, and we need to have the squared button, or we could times 4 again, and we get 50. I'm rounding this, so it's 0.26. I'm rounding it to 50.3. So that's 50.3. So the next one we have got. So this prism is level 4. Okay, level 4 of the curriculum. Now, the interesting thing is a cylinder is technically not a prism, but the formula is the same. It's area of the base, the area of the circle, times the length. Okay, so here we can see the area of the face has been given to us. So the area of the face is 6, and the length is 5. So we know that it's 30. But if this was centimetres and that's centimetres squared, it's going to be centimetres cubed for volume. So area is the units squared, volume is the units cubed. Alrighty. Now, what's important to notice is that these formulas here with the sphere, that's actually level 6. Now, it isn't any harder. It's just straightforward algebraic substitution. You get this formula sheet in the exam. So here we can see the radius equals 5. So we need to calculate the volume by doing 4 times pi times 5 cubed divided by 3. I prefer, rather than going 4/3 as a fraction in my calculator, I prefer to divide by 3 at the end. So you can see the 4/3 is there. It's just in a slightly different format. So putting that into here, I would go 4 times shift pi times 5 to the power of 3 divided by, I'm going to execute to make sure I'm not in the middle of the power, divide by 3. So I've got 523.6. So the volume is 523.6. Okay, and that would be, if this was centimetres, it would be centimetres cubed. So the surface area, 4 pi r squared. So we would need to go 4 times pi times, hang on, what were we doing? We were doing, 4 pi r squared. So our radius is still 5, and we can square it. So the surface area is 314.2. So the surface area is 314.2. Notice I rounded it and left it to 1 dp. So the surface area, if it was centimetres, would be centimetres squared, and the volume would be centimetres cubed. Alrighty? So let's have a look at the next one. Again, this cone would be level 6. So we have the volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. H is 4. The side length is 5. And the radius is 3. Again, I prefer to actually, instead of 1/3 pi r squared h, I prefer to go pi r squared h divided by 3. So if I go here and clear it, I'm going to go pi, shift pi times r squared, so my radius is 3 squared, times height, the vertical height, not the slant height, times 4, and I can see I did the wrong pi thing. Go back, go shift pi. All right, so I've got pi r squared times the height, and so I'm dividing that by 3. So I've got 37.7 for my volume. Now, have I made a mistake there? That doesn't sound familiar. So, or maybe not very many people got to this. So my radius was 3. The radius was 3, so it's pi r squared height and divide by 3. That's correct. Now, surface area. So the surface area, I'm going to go pi, just like the formula. So I'm getting that from here, the formula, times r squared, so that's 3 squared because the radius is 3, plus shift pi times 3 times the side length, the S, which is 5. You would write exactly that in the exam. That is showing you're working. All right, execute, and we get 75.4. So our surface area is 75.4. And if this was all centimetres, it would be centimetres squared because it's an area. And if it was a volume, it would be cubed, right? So our volume should have been cubed. Now, our last one. Hang on. Here we go. So we have volume equals 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So our volume equals, if the area is 10, so its area of the base is 10 times the height of 4. And instead of multiplying by 1/3, I'm just dividing by 3. And so I will just use the calculator to be showing you. So I would write 10 times 4 divided by 3, and I get 13.3. I get 13.3 recurring, or 13.3, and it's a volume. So if these were in centimetres, this would be centimetres cubed. But whatever unit it is in, volume is the units cubed, area is the units squared, and length is just the units. Okay, so sorry this is a big mess, but hopefully that will give you something. I'll put the answers onto Google Classroom as well as the video. So if you actually check to see that you know how to apply all these formulas. Now, if you then apply them in context, you can get level 6 in this assessment, because these last couple of, the last 3 are all level 6. Yes. Not exactly, because you might have a compound shape. So you might have a cylinder with half a sphere on each end, like a jelly bean type shape. But so you just need to like break up the shape into separate shapes and then apply the formulas. But the formula sheet itself it is on Google Classroom, and it's just without all the scribbling on top of it. Okay. We've gone through that. It's a booklet section, one section on level 3, one section on level 4, one section on level 5, one section on level 6. It's a 2-day test. You will physically